It's the Baseball Talk Radio Show, and I'm Gary Mack. And
Yeah, Rich Baxter over here. How you doing, Gary?
Rich, I'm doing great. How are you on this fine summer day, a summer type day, beautiful day today, and not ending so great. A little bit of rain here in Long Island. I guess you had a little bit earlier, probably down in Jersey there, but uh, Memorial Day weekend, Rich, and no baseball.
Yeah, we got the early showers, so to speak. No baseball, as you said. And what a great weekend this would be if we had baseball. And as a matter of fact, until you started mentioning Memorial Day holiday, uh, it just doesn't seem like a Memorial Day holiday either with what we're going through. The crisis still very much in effect in many areas, urban areas like ours. The middle of the country seems to be opening up a lot faster. So maybe their impressions of this is a little bit better, and I hope so. But I hope everyone enjoys their Memorial Day weekend and takes time to think about the holiday and, be thankful that we had men and women in service to do a job that they do every day and do such a great job for our country.
Certainly, and to all of those that have lost or gave their lives for us, and so that we can be sitting here and talking like this and doing a podcast and talking to the folks. And so don't forget to pay your respects as best you can. I
Yeah.
guess there's no parades this year, and Memorial Day always a big town parade here where I live with the fire department and the little leagues and just the different teams and high school band and whatnot and all of that's going to be, I guess, canceled this year. I didn't hear anything one way or the other, but I would imagine that would be the case. So COVID-19 is really taking a bite out of everything, including our baseball. And Rich, they're still talking, it seems. I know one Austin Hedges, I think, one representative of the San Diego Padres. I believe he's the player rep. He said he feels like there's progress being made. I don't know. From what I read, I don't seem to see any progress, but who knows? They're keeping it on the down low. It's not a lot of stuff leaking out, and maybe that's the way. It's better off if they do it that way.
Yeah, they can save the gory details for, inside. That should be discussed inside, uh, especially with this. And it's going to work out better for them, and it's going to work out better for us, I'm sure. And as you said, we still don't have any word on whether or not we will have baseball. And I know if you listened to last week's show, Gary and I were a little pessimistic on whether or not we will see a season. And Gary, I'm getting more pessimistic by the day now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a burst of optimism there for a bit. I thought maybe, but now I'm getting back to the pessimistic side. Though I'm told somebody's reported that the Mets told the players, I don't know how accurate that is, to be ready to come back to Florida in mid-June. So I don't know whether they're just saying that and, they're trying to be optimistic about the negotiations, but they have a very intense plan for I think it was 68 pages that they're negotiating with the players on about what would happen if somebody got ill and how they're going to protect them. And there's, it's the usual. Everybody's going to get their temperature taken and tested, and they hooked up with a lab. MLB has the same lab that does their steroid testing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess they're going to be guaranteed quick results that way. They'll know. But that's about all we seem to have known now. It's kind of quiet, and I don't know, Rich. it gets to a point where you just say, I know the NHL's still talking of coming back with a 24 team playoff, and
Mhm.
I'm sitting here wondering why. Why, why now? I mean, it just
Well,
seems.
they do go into June now, um,
Yes,
with the NHL.
but I don't know. We're so far removed now from them and basketball. Why bother?
Yeah, it is a late time to start for them and resume their play, so to speak. You have to wonder how the players really feel about that because their bodies probably think it's the off season. They've been off for so long now,
Right.
and they kind of could risk injury with those sports because you're constantly in motion. It's much different than baseball. But as you said, yeah, the players and ownership hashing this out. We still have time. This was announced about 10 days ago, maybe, initially, with, as you said, a 67, 68-page essay on how everything will be kept. And you got to give it to MLB. They had their brainstormers out there and seemed to have every I dotted and T crossed with this. But I've heard in the Twitter community, especially, that it's just a little too much. It's just so many hurdles. Well, players are going to go in intake screening when they report to spring training, tested with a thermometer, contactless, as you said. Um, if anybody tests positive, they're going to have to self quarantine. So they would be out of spring training for 14 days and get treated, obviously, and then have to test twice negatively to come back, apparently. And clubs being limited to 50 players going into spring training, I I don't know. Just if you have an outbreak amongst the players, it could be something that ends up to be catastrophic with the league. That would be a tough way to fold this year instead of just folding it as it is, being that it is a pandemic. But apparently, we're trying to get back to quote unquote normal. So we're still rooting for baseball, I'm sure, but we're on the sort of the glass half empty side.
Yeah, I don't know what side we're on anymore. I really don't. I again, I just think sometime they probably would have been better off just canceling it, and I get it, and everybody wants it back, and golf is coming
Hmm.
back, but golf's a totally different animal. I mean, it's a singular sport. It's one person. They can keep their social distance. Um, Baseball, what are they not going to hold the batter on, a runner on, I should say? What about breaking up a double play? There's contact. Uh, you know, I don't know. Can you tag a guy, or is it if you're nearby? Are we going to bring back the neighborhood play at second base on a double play? I
And you
don't.
you have and you have the ball, the contact with the
Well,
ball. That's one of the main things.
I don't know. Is the
But
boy going to wear gloves so he doesn't contaminate the bats when he picks them up? I,
yeah,
I
and for those that are getting back to work in their regular jobs, production workers, factory workers, wherever you happen to work, restaurants, certain states are open. It's a learning curve. It's an adjustment. It's a huge adjustment for you to start learning these new ways of greeting people, of uh, handling different things around people, how you conduct yourself around customers and things like that, or if you're in a factory, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to be more than just following the rules. You have ingrained habits that baseball players have, chewing seeds. They're not going to be allowed to do that, and certainly not allowed to be spitting anywhere. And you just have guys that are just ingrained in doing that. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see if this season happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sight to see. But another thing that the COVID-19 could bring about is expansion. And you would say, well, why would COVID-19 bring about expansion in Major League Baseball? Well, what do the owners always do when they lose some money, and they've lost a ton of money this year, and MLB's lost a ton of money? What do? They go out and sell a couple of more franchises, and we know they've been talking about expansion for a couple of years now, so it's no big surprise. However, this could really open up the door for quick expansion. They'd have to expand to two teams, one in each league, and to make it even. And there's a great possibility with the cost. It could be like $1 billion for an expansion fee to get a team in now. And that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see if that's a shakeout of this whole COVID-19 business.
Yeah, that could be a way to, as you said, expand revenue, pick up a couple more teams. They're due. We've been hearing about it. There's several cities that are in the running for it. So it would be a strange time to do it in the middle of a pandemic, but at the same time, things don't seem to stop just because there's a pandemic. There's still business that needs to be conducted, as it always has been. So that'll be interesting to see. And um, there was a Dream Bracket 1 being held by MLB with the Out of the Park Baseball 21, which is a video game type of simulation, more of a simulation than a video game. But now they're going to be pitting different championship teams against one another in a round robin type of March Madness type of setup here. And they're well underway. They just started it a couple days ago. And you have teams like the '04 Boston Red Sox going up against the '96 Texas Rangers. You have Kansas City Royals of '85 going up against a team from 1954. And you have different great teams that made an impact on baseball. You have the '75 Reds playing the Washington Nationals uh, of 2012. So that'll be interesting to see. Some of these simulations, I don't know if you've checked them out too much, Gary, but they're interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I haven't really checked it out. I've kind of distanced myself from the simulations. After the first, the show one got me all confused, and I thought I was watching a baseball game. So I've kind of backed away from it, and I got to be honest, I haven't even stayed up till the middle of the night to watch the Korean baseball either. I watched it once or twice, but you got to sleep sometime. I mean,
Yeah, if they sort of could make that available on a taped basis, that would probably work out better for a lot of people. As you said, you're not going to lose a half night's sleep to stay up in the middle of the night to watch something that doesn't really mean too much to you.
and
But if it was on at 8 o'clock at night and in your location, then maybe you're flipping through the channels. Oh yeah, I'll watch this for a half hour or something.
it is funny though how without the sport, you do pick up other habits, and now it's very difficult to, or going to be difficult to break those habits. We get special TV shows that my wife and I are now watching, and boy, what do I do when if baseball does come back this year? It's going to be you get engrossed in a storyline or whatever, and then what do you do? Even if it's the news shows, you start to watch them, and you want to find out what's breaking this. So I guess I'll be
Yeah.
going back to the old iPad watching days on the computer and the iPad, and the earplugs in my ear watching the ball games to monitor
Yeah.
them at least. If it works, it works. I mean, I've done it for years, off and on. So
Yeah, and it works pretty good now. The iPad is almost like watching your own little personal television.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
depending on your streaming, but yeah, the great teams, like I was saying, the 64 historic season teams. Just to get back to that for just a second, your 69 Mets went up against the 97 Marlins. Um, the Marlins ended up winning that one. So same thing with my Phillies, my favorite Phillies here. The '08 Phillies went against the '04 St. Louis Cardinals, and they lost. And the 1980 Phillies went up against the 1960 Pirates, and they lost. So sometimes the simulations aren't very kind to our teams.
Yes, I know. How did were the '86 Mets in that thing?
The '86 Mets, let me see if I can find them here real quick. I see the '69 Mets, and that one I told you about. Yeah, I would think the '86 Mets should be on this 64 teams. But they have them stretched out into the 50s. Um, let me see here. I don't see another. I don't see the '86 Mets team. That's a serious omission on this, being the top 64 historic seasons. Here they are. I'm sorry. '86 Mets did beat the Colorado Rockies, so they're advancing to the next round. They're playing the 94 San Diego. I'm sorry, the 98 San Diego Padres. The screen that I'm reading is very small. It's hard to read.
Okay. How about I can ask you another one. How far did they go back? Did they go back like to the 27 Yankees or something?
Um, it's not that far back. We got the 72 A's that I can see, the 68 Tigers, the 1960 Pirates for some reason, the 67 Cardinals. Um, looks like the Milwaukee Brewers of 1957, possibly.
That would be the Braves.
And Braves. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me see here. It's just got the big M with 57 underneath of it. Who else here? Several teams in the 2000s. You got the '01 Seattle Mariners, the '02 Anaheim Angels, '83 World Series team for Baltimore, 2011 Texas Ranger team, a couple of Chicago teams in 2016, um, Atlanta from '95, Yankees '98. So yeah, it's just I guess they picked 64 historic seasons and threw them into a tournament, which is interesting.
Mm. Sort of like an NCAA March Madness type of thing.
Yeah, it's fairly interesting. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. It's just something to keep your amusement.
Right. Something for somebody to write about.
Yep. And Lord knows we need that now with the COVID crisis, as you said.
Yeah.
Not too much news coming out of the MLB. Our blogs are down tremendously with with the viewers, as far as readers and podcasts. So we're
Yeah, it
still waiting for that shot in the arm for baseball to come back, because it does bring people back to the blogs and the podcasts.
certainly does. And we'll see. Alex Bregman, though, he's not waiting around. He's got himself a new agent, Rich. I don't know if you saw this, but he is reportedly leaving his agency, one that has ties to LeBron James. And according to the report, Bregman is making the change because LeBron James is producing a documentary about the Astros sign stealing scandal. This is from the Houston Chronicle. Bregman and his agent Brody Schofield have parted ways. A person with knowledge of the situation told the Chronicle. Schofield formerly ran Title Sports Group. Clutch Sports Group acquired the agency in April to be its baseball wing, briefly putting Bregman under the same umbrella as basketball superstar LeBron James. James' agent Rich Paul founded Clutch Sports Group. Schofield negotiated 6-year, $100 million extension. Bregman signed. So Bregman was briefly tied to LeBron through Clutch and Schofield. But James has a media company called Uninterrupted Sports and is putting together a document about the sign stealing controversy. And I guess Bregman doesn't want to be a part of that, so he is changing agents. Little feud there between Alex Bregman and LeBron James, just a tad.
Yeah, I guess he probably feels that he's a professional too, that professionals don't usually trample on one another like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I did read a little bit about that. And the agent involved, or somebody that works for the agent, was actually on LeBron's side. So he made a comment afterwards of Bregman saying that he was leaving, that, something to the effect of, it was a great video, great documentary or whatever they made on this. But I don't know. You don't normally see this in sports where one team or one person is singling out a team that's still playing anyway. You just don't see that.
And, I don't know if it's such a good thing. Look, he's got a media company, LeBron James, but why attack another professional sport and a particular team? Yeah, I know it's a sign stealing scandal, but maybe it's something that his company shouldn't have touched at this particular point in time. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bad time to do this, and it doesn't sit well. I wouldn't watch it. Didn't go out of my way to research it much more than reading the little story that I did online, and it's one of those things that you just, if you're reading a newspaper in the old days, you just keep turning the page. Like don't read too much into it, and just keep turning that page, because it's really not worth your time to probably even watch something like that.
It's a scanner. You used to scan the headline and just keep going if it didn't excite you.
Yeah.
Which I guess we still kind of do on our phones. We'll scan sports pages as it is today and skip a story or not. But Rich, I think it's a good time to talk a little bit about how the good folks out there, if they'd like to support the show and help the show, how they can go about doing that. They can go to patreon.com. That's our donation site, I guess, if you will, / baseball talk. And or you can go to anchor.fm / baseball talk radio, and you can leave a donation right there, right on that page. It has the support button. Just tap on that and you can help us out. And if you'd like to contact us at all, please do send us an email, Gary at baseballtalkradio.com or Rich at baseballtalkradio.com. We'll read your email on the air. We don't really have a phone number, though there is, you can probably find us individually if you want to by listening to our shows. Rich's got Phillies talk and I've got Mets music, so go check either one of those out anytime, and check out baseballtalkradio.com. Rich, you've been working on some of the shows over there.
Yeah, I've been feverishly updating the website, trying to fix some of the older shows, add some new shows, and as some people know, I've switched hosting sites for a few of my websites. So that one went to the new site, and then things were updated, and it really looks good. I actually was just in talks with a gentleman thinking about an app for that. I'm still thinking about it, but that might be good as well for the mobile platforms. I know a lot of people like to listen to us on their mobile devices, and so stand by for an announcement on that. Gary, just a little bit about our listeners. We do this every couple weeks. 81% are listening to us from Apple Podcasts, 8% right from the Anchor site. So we appreciate that. And if you're one of those folks that listen to us on Apple Podcasts, just hit that subscribe button and you won't miss another show from us ever. 3% for Overcast, and then we have about 10% with other means. So they're tuning into us. Our audience primarily from the United States, but we have a 5% share, and I think this is due to Gary. He's got a big following over there in England. So 5% of our listeners are coming from the United Kingdom.
Wow, that's great. And hello to all my friends over in England. And, if you'd like to see what we look like and how we do this, you can also check out the video version of the show. Yeah, we do a video version too, and that's on YouTube. I forget the address again, but that's
just use the search button and
just put in
type
Baseball
it
Talk Radio. YouTube.com, and you'll find us. We'll be there. So check us out. We're available all over the place for you. So we try to
and hit that subscribe button if you can when you go over to the YouTube channel. We have 120 subscribers. We're trying to boost that up to get some more things to bring for you video wise. So we need like 1,000 subscribers, and I know that's a tall task, but to hit that subscribe button, it's not costing you a dime, and all it does is add our show to where you watch YouTube from. So if we have a show, it's going to tell you, oh, Rich and Gary has a new show. You're not obligated to do anything. Just hitting that subscribe button just puts our show in your feed. So we appreciate out there anybody that can add us to their YouTube watching by hitting our subscribe button.
There you go. And Rich, do we want to play a little game right now?
Why not? It's the holiday weekend.
This game is called Do You Know Who My Boyfriend Is?
Oh, I think I know this one.
Yeah, Samantha Braxiak. She was name dropping a famous slugger to try to get out of a DUI arrest, sobbing, "This is going to be so bad." 26-year-old Braxiak, I think I'm saying that right, wept to cops in Scottsdale, Arizona, over the bad PR she believed her arrest would bring for the certain slugger. Do you know who my boyfriend is? She said to the cop. "This is going to be bad for me. I'm just saying that right now." Now, this happened on February 25th. I didn't even see anything on this, Rich, but I saw it now, so let's report it. She told the cops after she was pulled over for not having headlights on and failing to maintain her lane. As an office processed her info, she said this arrest would be made public. He's a public figure, she tells the officer, referring to her boyfriend. So like me being arrested for like having 2 glasses of wine is not okay. The cop then assures her she's not a bad person and says her actions won't affect him. "I know I'm not a bad person," she says, "but you don't understand. You don't know who my boyfriend is. This is going to be bad. Do you understand New York media?" And the cop said no. And she said, "Exactly. Then you don't understand. My boyfriend is in the spotlight in New York media in general. And now here I am handcuffed in Arizona. Like, that is not good." Yes, it is not good. She was charged with extreme DUI for an alleged blood level between 0.15 and 0.19. She initially blew 0.125 right after she was pulled over, then later blew 0.169 and 0.181 at the police station, the police report shows. Braxiak told cops she split 4 glasses of wine with a pal at Maestro Steakhouse. Uh, Neither Bryce Strack nor a rep for her boyfriend returned messages. And her boyfriend is Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge.
Fielder for the New York Yankees. And Aaron, you got to pick your chicks a little better. I think you know you got a little bit. Your girlfriend's got a wine problem there, and a drinking and a driving problem. Remember that joke from Airplane? I got a drinking problem. Anyway,
Yeah, it's a shame. At least she had the wherewithal to know that it was an issue, it was a problem. And yeah, you don't realize, especially those that have been locked down in the COVID environment, liquor stores have been open. Maybe you have a beer or a wine or something like that, and then you think you can always do that, even when you're back to driving and things like that, and you really can't. It's a recipe for disaster. But maybe she'll learn from it, hopefully, and you feel bad for somebody like that. You don't want to see them either kill somebody or themselves. So
that's it. She's out there, and she's two glasses of wine, but everybody's tolerance is different, and apparently her tolerance was not that high for alcohol. Or maybe she didn't eat either. It's always important to eat if you're going to go out and drink like that, and then try to wait a couple hours if you can. Drink water, stop drinking alcohol, and and the best thing to do is not to drive, is to call Uber or call one of those services, and or a taxi, and get a ride home, because that's the safest thing to do. Nobody's saying not have a good time, but I want to know
sure.
what was she doing in Arizona? Steve, my first question would be, what was she doing in Arizona when the Yankees trained in Florida?
That's a good question. Maybe that's another.
Yeah, that's another question for another show.
Well, I've got two tips for our listeners if they want to take advantage of these specials, quote unquote, till the end of the month or so. I believe this one is the Out of the Park Baseball Simulation game is for 21 is a special sale price. It's 25% off. I believe it's $29.99. If you go to their website, you can sign up through the end of the month, through the 31st, I believe, of May. Take advantage of that, 25% off. It's got me thinking I might take the bite. And over at baseball-reference.com, one of my favorite sites for stats and information on a daily basis on the game, they're having a new stats presentation that you can look up all the stats that the professionals look up. It's sort of a rehash of what they've always had there, but I believe it's $8 a month, and they've improved it. So you can stop over to that website as well. Check that out. You want to see how many home runs in a game your team, your favorite team had, you can search that. Just about anything you could think about regarding baseball, you could research that. The last time your team did this or that, whatever you want to look up is there on that site. So check it out. A couple of good tips for you. And I believe they're offering a free 14-day trial to that baseball reference stat sites as well. So get over there and take advantage of those tips.
Go check it out, and there's lots of great baseball books out there. If you're still hungering for baseball, there's a new book came out by, I think it was John Shea and Willie Mays, called 24. I think it's the biography of Willie Mays, but I think he cooperated on it, and so have not read it yet. I'm looking forward to getting a hold of it and checking that out. And another great book is came out recently, was by a gentleman named Mark Healy. It's called Gotham Baseball, and it's got the listing of all the, if you're in the New York area, you may be interested in it, of all the throughout the history of baseball, New York teams, and he put together a greatest baseball team based on all the different teams that played in New York: the Dodgers, the Giants, the Yankees, and the Mets. And it's a very interesting game. And one other thing, Rich, for the people, if they still are hungering for some baseball news, a friend of mine, Brett Tappell, just is got a new series out on YouTube, and it's short. It's about the segments are about I guess 10 minutes is probably the longest. It's called BT Talks Baseball, and he interviews different people in the game of baseball on a specific purpose or a specific game that they were a part of, or some great achievement that they had. I think this week's guest was John Lieber. He's had Jeff Bloom on from the White Sox, John Matlack of the Mets. So just so you got that out there. And that's all I got, Rich.
Very cool. And there is a new book on Roy Halladay for all the Roy Halladay fans out there across the country and into Canada. Todd Zalecki out of Philadelphia is a beat writer for MLB.com for the Phillies. Put out a really great book on Roy Halladay. I got an advanced copy maybe a month ago, and I just loved that book. I just got lost in it a few times. Just reading about the early days with Roy Halladay and how he started his career, his work ethic, and things like that. So check out all that stuff. You know, we're waiting for the games to start, and maybe, Gary, next week, by next week's show, we'll have something better, more concrete to talk about the start of a season.
Well, we'll have to keep our fingers crossed, Rich.
Yeah, that's all we can do. You know, they got to hash it out, get together and see if it's worth it, and see if they can navigate through the country as it is now. Some places still closed. It's going to be interesting. But, Gary, I want to wish all of our listeners a happy, healthy time out there for their Memorial Day holiday weekend, and our listeners from across the pond as well. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll have the fish and chips with the Guinness, please.
We'll see you next time.